Welcome to Your Inner Power with Krista. This podcast is for the deeply intuitive ones, the curious ones, and the ones who follow their own path and embrace their uniqueness. We'll chat about all things spiritual, life's adventures, and always go back to deep self-trust because it's all within you. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. We are now on episode 10, and today's episode is all about my journey from religion to spirituality. This episode has taken some time. It has taken me some time to feel comfortable speaking about this. And I lately have been sharing more about my journey on my Instagram and allowing myself to really go there because it's an important thing to look at and to notice all of the unlearning that I have had to do and to speak more about that and to look at these systems and understand that they are systems and have nothing to do with God. So I grew up Roman Catholic. We went to church pretty much every Sunday, some Sundays not, but we did go to church very often, and I also went to religion class. Now, something that's interesting to note is I know, based on my peers and my experience, most kids did not enjoy religion class. And it was like, we have to go there. What are we going to do? And just hoping that the time would pass as quickly as possible. But honestly, I actually really enjoyed it. I found the story so interesting. I would sit there and lean in, and I remember just having these very visual experiences when they were telling the stories. I would picture everything. Like I saw everything play out like a movie. And it is kind of funny to think about that now, but I really was just so interested. And I found it to be something that I really wanted to dive deeper into. And I was glued to the teacher when the teacher was speaking. Now, not all of the things that were shared in religion class were positive and beliefs that I would say that I believe today, but I did really enjoy listening to the stories, and it brought me a sense of connection. Similarly to how I felt very connected in religion class when I was listening to these stories, I felt that way in church as well. When we would go to church, I would try to listen and understand and take something away, and I did feel this sense of connection. Again, not everything that was said I believe today, but there were parts that helped me to feel a deeper connection. There was something that I did feel within being in the spaces of religion class and church that helped me feel a connection, but I think the thing that was really missing was the connection comes from within. And that is the main issue that I have with religion in general, is that it's very focused on this connection being outside of yourself and that we are sinful and that our humanness is something to apologize for, that we constantly will never be good enough, and that we will be judged. And that is not the way that my God personally operates. And that's where I think that there is some issues when it comes to being in spaces such as religion class or a church. And there was a lot of unlearning that I needed to do. But at the core, I did feel that connection there. And I can see that I was innately connected in that way, even in those younger years when I was in the church, but I wasn't able to fully explore that. It was something that I felt when I was in the church or in religion class, but not outside. I did still feel connected when I prayed because I was someone who has always prayed in my unique way, but I still didn't feel this deep connection that I felt in those spiritual spaces because I thought that I needed to look to someone else to bring that to me, like the religion teacher or the priest or some type of other authority, like it was coming through them to me rather than within myself, which I know now that I have a direct connection with God because God is within me and I am a piece of God expressing itself in this unique way. I always prayed in a way where I was not someone who enjoyed doing formal prayers that we would do in church. I would just pray in a way like I was speaking to a friend. And that was how I always prayed, which I just think is an interesting thing to think about because it's almost like I always understood that that connection lied within me, but not consciously for a lot of my life until my spiritual awakening. I also had an experience with my religion class that really sticks out to me. And I realized it was a form of meditation. And I wound up going to a convent as a field trip with my religion class. And when we were there, we had this experience where we did this type of meditation, and I completely forgot about this until more recently. And we did this meditation. It was a meditation to connect with Jesus. And we would walk on the beach. We pictured ourselves walking on the beach. It was like a visualization and we met Jesus and we received something. Now, I don't remember exactly what I received, but I do remember the experience being extremely potent. I remember the person that was showing us how to do this walked us through this visualization meditation. And at the end of it, they said, "How long do you think we were doing this practice for?" And most of us said like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And they said it was almost an hour long. I remember being so shocked because time didn't exist where I was. Now I meditate often and I understand that, but it's an interesting thing to think about because I had that experience during that time, but wasn't able to fully understand because it was only in the context of the church. It's something that I just thought to share because it shows that I was connected in that way. I don't remember what I experienced exactly, but I know that I did meet Jesus and have this sort of very visceral experience where I did get something from it and it stuck with me. It's something that I did when I was probably like 12 or 13, and the fact that I remember it now is a big deal. There were just these times in my life where that religious upbringing did bring me to those points of understanding that I was really connected, but it was always in this context of something much higher than me and something that I could never reach and that I would never be good enough. And it was like these glimpses, whereas throughout my spiritual journey and throughout my spiritual awakening, I really began to understand that it's okay to be human. And we came here to live a human experience and we came here to mess up, and that is not sinful and we're not bad or wrong for it. We're learning and growing and evolving, and that's why we came to this planet. So eventually I stopped going to church when I was a young adult. That never took me away from my prayer, though. I always continued to pray, and I was always someone who just prayed throughout the day, prayed as if I was talking to a friend, and it was not something that was like this formal prayer in the morning or the evening. It was just like all of the time. And I didn't turn away from the church purposely in any way. I just kind of found myself on a path of not going to church as often because I was in school and whatnot and far away from the church that I attended, and just kind of floated away in that aspect. But there wasn't anything that kind of took me away from the church. And then during my young adult years, I found a great interest in personal development. And then eventually personal development wound up turning into spirituality, which I think probably happens for a lot of people. When I dove deep on my spiritual path, I started to really see that I had these abilities and they have always been within me that, I'm psychic, I'm intuitive, I'm able to connect in this way. And I did experience some shame or confusion around, well, why is this looked at as something bad within the church? Or why is it looked at that I can't do this? And that's when I began having to unlearn what I was taught. And we are taught that women don't have spiritual authority, that we are not able to connect in that way, that we need to look to an authority figure that is male to tell us what God is saying or what is the truth. But we really do have these abilities within us. Every single person on this planet is deeply connected, is psychic, is intuitive, whatever words you want to use. It's our birthright. And this deep connection comes from within. Having the power within, the name of my podcast, is a very big part of my brand because it's a very important thing that I stand for, that you have the power within. You do not need any outside figure to give you that power. Because as soon as we do that, we are taken farther and farther away from ourselves. And that is what is done in the church. And that is why people feel disconnected and they feel like they need to go to these outside authority figures or they need to do certain things in order to be good enough. But that's a system that has nothing to do with God. It's a system of oppression and it puts you down. When you have that ability within yourself, you always had that ability. You were born with that ability. But because we are conditioned to believe that we are less than and that we need to look outside of ourselves, when we begin exercising our intuitive gifts and learning how to trust more, it becomes something that is a journey because we were taught as children to think that we are powerless. I always thought that it was outside of me and that I needed to go to a church to feel connection, that I needed to be good to feel connection. But I'm innately good. And this idea of being sinful by being human, it doesn't make any sense. We chose to come here and be human, and our soul came here to evolve and to grow. And we are a soul, and we are also human. And learning how to hold both is really what it's all about. And it's not learning to shame one over the other, pick one over the other, because we are both and we need both to live this human experience. If we just wanted to be in the spirit world, we wouldn't have come to earth to learn and grow. This has taken me so long to feel ready to speak about, and I'm speaking about it because it's important. It's important because I want to allow for people to see that that connection lies within them and that they are not broken in any way or not good enough in some way, that you have that authority within. We come from this one energy source, and we are all that energy source expressing in unique ways here on earth. We're all growing and we're all evolving together and we're all messing up together because we're freaking human. And as I have continued on my journey, I've learned more and more to embrace that messy humanness. It's perfect. It's perfectly messy. And there's nothing wrong with you because of it. And it doesn't make you any less connected because you are human and you are divine. You always are both while you're on this planet. And then you're just divine. I want you to know that you were born with this. You were born with this innate connection within, that you don't need to look outside of yourself, that it's safe to trust yourself. It's safe to go within. It's safe to trust yourself over the systems. I'm saying this for all the women just like me that have felt bad or wrong for turning away from the church. I want you to know that you are not bad or wrong, that you have found the power within yourself. You are deconditioning. You are coming back to your own truth. It is safe to trust yourself. This has been something that has been so helpful for me to share for myself. Like, this is healing for me. Even if no one listens to this podcast, this is healing for me. And I know people will, and I know that there's a reason why I'm sharing it, but I know that this is so, so healing for me. And to be able to speak about this freely and not worry about who disagrees with me or who judges me or who thinks I'm wrong or bad. I don't care. I don't care, because I know my innate connection comes from within. I'm going to leave it there. This episode feels complete. I don't think I have anything more to say, but I just feel really proud of myself for sharing, and take this point away with you that sometimes those scary things to speak about, when we allow ourselves to speak about them, we free ourselves. And that might be exactly what we need. I will talk to you very soon. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Your Inner Power with Krista. If this episode resonated with you, please leave a rating and review. This helps my podcast grow and reach new listeners. You can connect with me on Instagram at Krista Nastu. And if you're feeling called to go deeper, links to work with me can be found below. Until next time, remember, everything you need is already within.